Hey, one more note before we take some phone calls. Kudos to the St. Louis Business Journal who tracked down this story. There's a story earlier in the week, and they looked at some annual contracts that the Rams have. Usually they run from May until May. Well, this year the Rams have contracts, and they end their contracts in February. Then what's interesting is they talked to a Rams employee, also a seasonal employee, and that they have ended the contract in February. Now, here's a quote from the Rams employee who was asked not to be named for fear of reprisals. To me, right away, it made sense. As a business, they have to notify the league in February if they're moving. So why would they want to pay people beyond February? They didn't say that's why, but I put two and two together. So the Rams are signing contracts with peoples and vendors and the like that end in February. So as if you needed any more evidence that the Rams are moving and that no other team's going to follow them up. There you go. Let's go to the phones here. We've got Todd in the cell. Todd, you're in the Big 550 KTRS.
Hi, I agree with what you're saying. I'm going to take it one step further. I think the owners' fears, the majority of them, is that out of this whole deal, two teams are going to end up in L.A.
Right.
There's going to be one team that doesn't have some city putting out $350 million for a new stadium.
Right.
So you got one team sitting there. Let's call it San Diego. That's stuck there.
Right.
Then the next owner who wants to build a new stadium, where do they have to go?
Right.
Once there's one team without a $350 million coming from a city happens, we realize there's plenty of money out there for the NFL to build their own stadiums.
Right.
We all know that.
We do know that because Stan Kroenke is building his own stadium.
Think about this. Revenues, $10 billion a year in the NFL. You take 10% of that, that's $1 billion. You could build one new stadium a year with only 10% of the revenue. Well, and that revenue is going up.
I know, but look, but people forget this. It isn't like Stan Kroenke can't afford it. Not only can afford it, he's doing it. He's building his own stadium with no government involvement at all. He's just doing it in Los Angeles.
Exactly. And so that tells us it can be done,
right.
And you don't need a public funding.
Right.
The owners know that.
Right.
The owners know that.
Right.
But once there's one team out there that, other than LA is special.
Right.
But once there's one other team out there that's going to have to build their own stadium with their own money, that means no free money from to the other owners.
That's exactly right. Well, now San Francisco spent their own money. New York spent their own money. Dallas spent their own money. Now San Diego saying we can't build our own, so we need help. San Diego saying sorry, but their only other choice is to leave or build their own stadium. They don't want to leave. Clearly, they want to move up the road. But ultimately, they're using us as a stalking horse, which is fine. But we should know what it is we're being used. And our leaders keep telling us we're going to have this done by August. No, you're not. Now you're just lying to us.
There's other teams out there that are going to want new stadiums, right? Jacksonville,
right. Well, now my only caveat is this. Is that maybe, now Dave Peacock, from all intents and purposes, from everyone who says he's a good guy, straight up guy, I've seen him, talked to him a couple times, from all accounts, he's normal, right? No one's impersonating David Peacock. He is himself. Maybe Shad Khan said, look, I want to move to St. Louis, but I can't say anything, so get a package together, and then I can do it. Maybe that conversation took place. Maybe it didn't. Who knows?
But my question is, why do we need public funding for these places? They don't need it.
It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question.
They don't need it.
You're absolutely right.
And I am totally for two teams going to L.A. and then let the other teams figure out where they want to build their own stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Once the first team does that, all the other cities will finally figure out we don't need to be paying $350 million for these teams. They can do it on their own.
Todd, thanks for the phone call.
Thanks.
I have come 180 degrees on this. Years ago when I was younger, dumber, not as smart, not as brilliant as I am now. I was, the city benefits, especially a football stadium that you only use 10 days a year. It just doesn't make any sense. Let's go to Jim on a cell. Jim, you're on KTRS Radio.
Ty, I thought we had a great point. There's a lot of angles to this. When you and I have talked before, I completely agree. The Rams are gone. There's no sense in even thinking otherwise about that.
Right.
Back about a year and a half ago, we were still in the lease with Stan, and it was we have to be in the top 25%.
Right.
And I don't know who judges that, but apparently somebody did. We thought $350 million or so back then, I thought would get us in the top 25. Stan thought it was like $700 million.
Right.
But now we're completely, I don't understand, we're completely throwing out those ideas and saying that piece of crap stadium down there is no good anymore. But we can't renovate that for $350 million and have it more attractable than some of these other teams' stadiums that they're sitting in?
That was my question, my one question during that news conference, which was, wait a minute, the Rams countered with us with $700 million in renovations. We rejected that. Now we want to build them a $900 million stadium. Right. So wait a minute. We didn't want their $700, so we'll build you a $900 million stadium.
And if these are our business leaders in St. Louis that are leading this charge, no wonder all of our Fortune 500 companies are leaving because we got a bunch of knuckleheads up there.
Their argument is, there's a couple of mistakes that I think. At that point, 2-3 years ago, before he bought the land in L.A., before he started just announcing he was leaving,
right?
If they would have amassed the land in 2 months, like they clearly can do now in 2 months, why couldn't we have done this then and say, hey, wait, let's be forward thinking? This last-minute Charlie thing has gotten us into all this trouble in the first place. But they will tell you, when you ask that question, they'll say, it doesn't make sense to have the Dome and the Convention Center as one. We are losing millions of dollars because we can't schedule conventions 2, 3, 4 years out because of the NFL schedule. I'm just telling you what they would tell you.
I know. That sounds like horse hockey to me, though. Come on. You just said 10 days a year is all the stadium is used.
Right. Well, except you don't know what 10 days. So they're the big tenant. The schedule just came out a couple weeks ago for this coming season. So you don't know what 10 days, and you have to keep it clean from September through January for playoff games. So you can't fill it in until after that. So
that's kind of a way for the NFL to really make the stadiums only a single-use purpose, then, isn't it?
Yes. Or maybe some really smart business guy builds a stadium for 2 teams in L.A. I wonder who would do that.
I don't know, man. Somebody that's really rich, apparently.
Yeah, I hear you. Thanks for the phone call, Jim.
See ya.
9:34 here, Big 550 KTRS. We'll take a couple more phone calls. Yellow Farmhouse Winery is a place to go this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great winery, Highway 94 in Defiance. It's that first winery you come to. Larry Connors is on the roof checking out the shingles of the biker bars, so you can wave to him. The Yellow Farmhouse Winery is right next to that. The Road Jags, that's where you get Yellow Farmhouse Winery. You can stay and enjoy the nice hillside with the stone pavilions and the nice fireplace if it turns chilly or rainy. Or stop by and pick up some of that world-famous Norton they've been talking about. Yellow Farmhouse Winery. It's a fully functioning, working vineyard, but it's also great for weddings and anniversaries and engagement parties and birthday parties and anniversaries and you name it. It's great for that. And it's a fully functioning, working vineyard. So you can see how the grapes grow from the vine to the bottle. Yellow Farmhouse Winery, yellowfarmhousewinery.com.